Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman. Now I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sitdown. Oh, it is spoiler talk time, and we're talking about my newest favorite thing in the Star Wars universe. I don't know why I'm saying it like a song, but I am, because this guy's bad AF. So stupid. Anyway, man, it's time for some spoiler conversation in the Star Wars universe, talking about the show that is just blowing it up on Disney Plus. Why don't you pull up a chair, man, take a seat, we're getting ready to dive in, spoiler filled, into the Mandalorian Chapter 2, The Child. Oh yes, dude, I tell you, I'm just loving the show. First and foremost, I'd like to put that right up front of all of these reviews, man. This show is fantastic. It is my new go-to. Like, I can't wait. I'm salivating waiting for the next episode to come out. And while there's a good chunk of me that is disappointed that The Mandalorian wasn't released Netflix style as a binge, because you get to the end of these episodes and you're just like, I want more. That's why this rewatch I did was so enjoyable, because I got to watch 3 episodes in a row. And what's awesome is all 3 together, when you watch them in sync like that, it's so obvious that that's the first act, the beginning and the end of the first act of this long-form Mandalorian story. And just the more you watch, the more I love it. And what's interesting is this episode, The Child. So a lot of people out there, man, trying to say that this episode felt like filler, like nothing happened, it was boring, and I just sit there going, what are you guys watching? Like, we live in a world, a universe that exists in Star Wars, right? But we've been riding with the Skywalkers for all this time, for the most part. Or anything that doesn't involve them directly is tied to that story. This is a story out on the outskirts of our galaxy, that we don't have any foundation for. And the show has to build that foundation. That's what it's doing in these first 3 episodes. The second episode included, yes, shorter than episode 1 and smaller probably in scale, but there are still things to be learned and things that are important and really cool moments in this second episode, directed by Rick Famuyiwa. And if you're not familiar with Famuyiwa, and I apologize if I'm butchering that name, he's done things from back in the day, man, like The Wood and Brown Sugar, as recently as Dope. And while he's been kind of intermittent from as early back as 96 to as present as 2018, and in that litany of directing 7 things over the course of 22 years. There's big chunks in there, but he got a whole lot coming, and this look into episode 2, I think, gives you an idea of what he's up to these days, and where he could be going. He's got, like I said, he's got a bunch of announced movies coming up, which are good for him. And this episode certainly highlights some really wonderful things from him as he continues to help build this foundation that Jon Favreau is creating from the writing. And I think he's doing some really interesting things in this episode, and why some people say it's a filler, I disagree, and I think Famuyiwa does some really nice things. I mean, there's an Indiana Jones callback, there's clear influences from outside sources, which also was something that was apparent in the original trilogy. So it's nice to see these directors and these creators using things from pop culture, whether it's current or past pop culture, just things from movies and pop culture being integrated into the world to kind of help tell these stories. It helps. You like when you see things that are familiar and like, oh man, that's a nice nod. Like, you can build a story while also paying homage to other things that influenced you or have influenced this world in some way. And I liked stuff like that. And for the most part, like I said, I think he does a really, really nice job behind the camera here. It's shot really clean, looks really nice, it flows quite well. And we open up with the Mando transporting little old Baby Yoda around, dude, which if I haven't mentioned, and I'll probably mention it a whole bunch of times, Baby Yoda is the cutest thing to exist in the world. I can't wait for that Baby Yoda merch to drop from Disney so that I can get me like a little plush Baby Yoda for Christmas or something like that. Oh, he's so stinking cute. But Mando's transporting him in his little egg carrier, and he gets jumped by a couple Niktos. And you're sitting there going, oh man, these must have been guys who either got off of that like quarry base, ran away, or were hiding. But you see Mando take him on, and again, quick. He makes work people quick. But it's a nice, I think, choreographed scene where he's fighting these two guys. He actually gets injured. He gets cut by one of them, knocks that dude out, and then whips out his sniper, and we finally get to see what that bad boy can do. And oh man, it disintegrates people. Doesn't it go? Just disintegrates and falls to the ground. And they hinted at it real quick with one shot, like you could see it on his person, and then after he disintegrates, it falls to the ground. There's a fob. That tells you that the fob led those Niktos right to the Mandalorian, and now you're going, okay, so it's not just people who have gone and failed that got fobs. It's not just IG-11 and Mando who have gotten fobs. There are more people out there with these fobs potentially coming after Baby Yoda, and that could be a big old problem for the Mando. To the point where, like, Mando's gotta, keep it moving. So we get this kind of cool little action sequence, and then Mando immediately is trying to tend to his wounds, and this is where that cuteness of Baby Yoda is just so on, man. You see him hop out of his little egg, and like I said, for the most part, obviously there are probably some things that are CGI, like when you're seeing his full body and he's in motion, but anytime you're not seeing his full body, Baby Yoda is a puppet, dude. Like, old school puppeteering going on with this, and it's beautiful. Like, it's so beautiful, man. And like, it functions so much better when these things are physically tangible. So anyway, you see him hop out, which might be a little CGI'd action, but then he gets up there and he puts his little baby hand up like this. He's got like three. He's like this. And you can tell he's trying to use the Force, and us as the audience know that he's trying to use the Force to heal the Mandalorian. And you're like, okay, Baby Yoda's vibing with the Mando. Like, he's cool with him. He understands what's going on. He's a 50-year-old baby. But clearly he has knowledge and he can understand things and he knows how to use the Force. But before he can use it, the Mando is just like, what are you doing, kid? Like, it's like somebody dropped a baby off to the Mandalorian. It's like, babysit this thing. Mando don't have no experience babysitting anything, let alone something so in tune with the Force. So he picks Yoda up, puts him back in the egg, goes back to like refixing his armor and stuff. Yoda hops out, tries one more time. Mando's like, come on, kid, puts him back. Finally sutures himself up, and this is kind of like the first spot where you physically, I think, see him using the wrist thing, and that's how you know, like, oh, this thing just doesn't follow. It's connected to technology that the Mando has, so he can control it. He can move it around. He can set it to just follow wherever he goes, clearly wherever the wrist goes, or if he does this, he can move it around, and there's a lot of cool moments and times where he is able to use that tech, but this is the first spot we see it, and then they keep on trekking back to the Mando ship, and when they get there, oh, man, like, if you thought Baby Yoda was a nice spoiler surprise, yes, it's much bigger than this one. This is a nostalgia surprise that just was like, whoa! And immediately made people say, oh, maybe we are on Tatooine because JAWAS, dude, and their sandcrawler. You get the big-ass sandcrawler that we've seen in the other movies. We get the JAWAS, but the difference here, they ain't got the yellow eyes, they got red eyes. And I've seen some people be like, come on, man, like, you can't have JAWAS anywhere but Tatooine. Why not, man? This is a galaxy. There's lots of different, forms of all species, and the more that they're out in the world, the more this world grows. And in episode 3, we actually see a couple of them on the bounty hunting planet. So, yeah, man, Jawas are out there, and these are red-eyed Jawas, and it was awesome to see them. They're little Jawas speak and stuff, and they are gutting the Mando ship. And Mando's like, what in the... starts hoofing it after him, and all the Jawas see him coming, like, I think he vaporizes or disintegrates 2 of them. All the Jawas grab everything, load it up into the sandcrawler, and the sandcrawler takes off. And, Mando is down there taking him on, and he runs after him, and what's great is as he's running after the sandcrawler, Baby Yoda is just following suit in the little egg. So he's got the egg open, the hatch open. He's just out there, and he's just flying around, dude. It's like, when it moves, his ears flap and stuff. It's wonderful. Everything about Baby Yoda is wonderful. But you see him kind of trailing, and eventually Mando gets to the sandcrawler, and he starts crawling up. And again, this is another time where just inherent natural humor comes about. Anything with the Jawas is going to make you laugh because of the crazy little noises they're making. He's pulling them out of the windows. He tries to pull one out of a window, and they slam it on like his fingers, and he kind of does this. They're throwing garbage at him, and it's just an enjoyable thing to watch. And as Mando's coming up, That's that ode to Indiana Jones that Famuyiwa puts in there, where he's on the side of the sandcrawler, and you see the Jawas go, and they spin it this way and kind of have it run up against a rock side. And you're like, oh man, it's just like Indy. He pops up, holds on, they go by, and then he continues his climb. The climb, like I said, very entertaining, but when he finally does get to the top, they knock him off. They kind of knock off the thing he's on. You see him fall, and you're like, oh no. But the Mando is the Mando. And the next thing you know, his hand is still there. He gets up on top, and you're like, oh yeah, let's go, Mando, take these Jawas on. And they shoot him with like 2 or 3 little electrical things. He goes, falls off. Anytime there's electricity around the Mando, I love the visuals that we're getting, man. It like lights up on his whole body, and even if he's like just trying to fix things, you're seeing it light up around his stuff. It's just a very, very visually stimulating shot that anytime they're kind of using electricity around him, it looks really, really cool. So anyways, he gets completely shot, zapped, falls off, and Baby Yoda kind of pulls up, and he's like, all right, we gotta keep trekking. And this is where we get some really nice, like I said, I mentioned this in the chapter 1 review, Western, man. Like, this is a space Western, and while he's trekking, walking all the way back to try to catch up to the Jawas, we think he's going to the Jawas, but what he's actually doing is he's going to Kuiil to ask for some help because he doesn't know where else to go. But while he's traveling back to Kuiil, not chasing the sandcrawler, we get these wonderful landscape and wide shots of him and Baby Yoda's pod traversing along all the different terrain, and just immediately just harkens you back to like watching an old Western and the cowboy on his horse as he travels along. And it's again, just keeps playing into all the things you want this show to play into. As he does get back to Kuiil eventually, he's like, look, these stupid Jawas just gutted my ship. We gotta go get them back. And, Kuiil's like, I mean, you can't go rob. We'll trade. We'll go. We'll talk to him. We'll get your stuff back. Trust me. In the meantime, little Baby Yoda, dude, I'm telling you, he crushed. Baby Yoda owns this episode for me. Hops back out of his little egg pod again. He's on the ground. He's just like all little Baby Yoda walking around. And you see these little frogs jumping around him. And all of a sudden, he just grabs one. And you hear Mando go, spit that out, or something like that. And he's fully not even eating, like just swallowing a full frog, and he kind of finishes, and he looks all proud of himself. He's like, yeah, I got that frog. Look, you could say it's not needed, but like literally, anytime you're putting Baby Yoda doing anything, it's needed because he's so stinking cute. Even doing something as disturbing as eating a frog whole, alive. So cute at doing it. I love Baby Yoda. But anywho, so from there, they have this conversation like, all right, we're gonna go back out. And I love that when Mando's talking to Kuiil during this bit while like figuring out what's going on, he references the sand crawler as like they're impenetrable in that crawling fortress. I was like, oh, I like that, man. Crawling fortress. That was little tiny things that I love in these episodes. So anyway, him and Kuiil head over. They get to all the Jawas and the sandcrawler, and all the Jawas are freaking out, man. And Kuiil is like, "Hey, Mando, you gotta put your blaster, your weapon down. Like, you can't have that. Don't have that like sniper gun. Put that thing down." And again, we get one of those nice little moments where Mando is like, "Weapons are part of my religion." It's probably my favorite line to date, and gives so much detail and insight into who this guy is, man. Like, he is a bounty hunter through and through, man, and weapons are part of his religion. Like, oh, it's such a good line, dude. Faz is crushing it. But anyway, he finally puts that down. Kuiil's like, and your blaster, like, put it all down. We gotta sit down and do some negotiating. So first things first, they're like, we want your Beskar, and Mando's like, nah, dude, you're not getting my Beskar. Like, this is my armor. So what else do you want? And immediately there's like 2 little Jawas by the egg pod, and they're like, and he's like, step away from the kid, man. Like, get away from the baby. No, you can't touch Baby Yoda. What else? There's got to be something else beside my Beskar and Baby Yoda that you guys want. What is it? And they all go, and they say the egg, and they all start chanting the egg in that little fun little Jawa language, and you're just like, the egg? Like, what does that even mean? So Kuiil And then Talk basically says, like, there's this thing, he's gonna go get it. So Mando's like, okay. But he's bringing Baby Yoda because he don't trust the Jawas, even around Kuiil. So he heads out, and you find this big, massive hole, and, like, it almost looks like a crater, the way the earth kind of rises up all around, and there's a hole in it. Mando goes into the cave, and he's looking for this egg. You just know he's looking for an egg. And as he's kind of scanning, it gets dark, so he turns his flashlight on, and he's doing it. You do one of these things where, like, he's scanning, and the camera cuts, and you see what his light is scanning on, and you think it's the ground or the wall. It looks very the same. And then it stops. And the minute it stops, you're like, oh no, it's an eye. Boom, eye opens up, and this massive, like, rhino type creature ends up emerging. But what's great is we only see the eye, and then we cut back to Baby Yoda's perspective, who's sitting in his little egg watching, and you just see pew, pew, red blasters going off, so you know Mando's fighting. And then you think, oh, maybe Mando killed him. Nah, man, he ain't killed this big bad boy. Boom! Mando comes flying out of the hole, and the next thing you know, it's this giant, like, rhino-looking furry animal. He's big and massive, furry. He's got this huge horn. They call him a Mudhorn in the show. And this Mudhorn proceeds to just do work. Like I said, man, like, the blurgs were a serious danger to the Mando. Like, he could have been dead if Kuiil didn't show up. This Mudhorn is even more physically imposing than them. With the giant horn, man, he is just throwing the Mando all over the place. I mean, his armor at one point is, like, curled up as he's just getting bashed, getting drilled into the mud. And that's cool, too, because the whole area is mud covered. So the Mando gets covered in mud, and it's, like, real grippy and kind of, like, grimy looking mud. It's a beautiful look as he's fighting this thing. But, like, you know, you're watching him just beat on Mando, and right as it's about to all end, man, like, the Mando's had his blaster knocked away, he's getting the crap kicked out of him, and he's just like, you know what, all right, if I'm gonna go, I'll go, but I'll make sure this little baby doesn't die. He takes out the last thing he's got, his little blade, he puts his blade up like this, and he just puts his head down, and he anticipates that the Mudhorn is gonna run at him, most likely trample, maybe kill him, but hopefully when he runs, the knife will do enough to kill him. And then it doesn't hit him. And Mando's like, huh? And you see little Baby Yoda again go, a little force action, and he lifts the Mudhorn up into the air. And it's the first time the Mando understands how powerful Baby Yoda is. And he's just got him there floating. And you're like, okay, so, like, everything's gonna be good, man. Baby Yoda's got this under control. And then Baby Yoda passes out. Used every little itty bitty ounce of strength, force strength that he had to try to hold him off long enough for the Mando to do something to get them out of this situation. And then he passes out from using too much. Kind of similar to the way, like, Luke falls when he's trying to astral project himself in long ranges when he's using the Force. You know, he gets kind of real weak or whatever. Same thing here happens to the Baby Yoda, and he passes out. The Mudhorn drops, and the minute the Mudhorn drops, Mando sticks the knife in him, kills him instantly. I heard some people going, like, did you have to kill the Mudhorn? Yeah. Like, once Baby Yoda passed out, if Mando didn't end him real quick, it would have just reset right back to where he did, and all the little work that Baby Yoda did goes to waste. So, kills it, goes into the cave, and emerges with this big furry egg. Now, the interesting thing with the egg is it feels symbolic in some manner. And what happens is when he gives the egg to the Jawas cut it, and they all surround the egg, and they're all yelling, egg, 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 in their Jawa language, and they just start eating this gross-looking yellow goop. Oh, man, it's all sticky and stuff. It was popped on screen, but you're just like, oh, man, that's not, nah, you should fry that up or something. But immediately made me go, huh, that egg, very similar to Baby Yoda's egg. And what did the Jawas want first? They wanted Baby Yoda after the Beskar. So, like, it was almost symbolic of, like, this is what would have happened to Baby Yoda had he given it to him. But then at the same time, maybe that's what everybody's after with Baby Yoda, is they want what's inside of him. Whether that's the metachlorines, or if it's the, you know, if there's some way to pull the Force essence using the metachlorines or whatever it is, maybe that's people are looking to extract something out of the egg. Or out of Baby Yoda. So the whole thing, visually, I was just, like, sitting there, especially on the second watch, I was like, this seems like some foreshadowing from Mr. Favreau, that, like, the way the Jawas react to that egg could be how everybody else wants to react to Baby Yoda, who's inside of like an egg-type capsule. But anyway, we digress. Just one of those things I just was like, it's been running in my brain. But we watch, the Jawas celebrate, and they give Mando all his stuff back. They walk him and Kuiil and Baby Yoda head back to his ship, and Mando kind of says like it's gonna take like days to get this thing fixed, and Kuiil's like, well, it'll go faster if you help. Dude, Nick Nolte's crushing it. I love the character. I hope we get to see him come back more, as I'm a big fan of what's going on with Kuiil and this little Ugnaught. That's just fantastic. But from that, we're not going to spend days watching them do it. So what do we get? We get like classic style montage. We got to pass a whole bunch of time real quick. Montage. And we get this montage of the two of them working. And in the back, it's like night. Or it's like dusk into night, and then it looks like it's starting to come back toward morning. So I'm thinking like maybe it took them like a full day, maybe is what passed. But regardless, montage it. Ship is like brand new. And Mando says thank you, and offers Kuiil money, and Kuiil goes, no, I can't accept any of your Beskar, or any money or any of your credits. He's like, you are my guest, and therefore I am in your service. And you're just like, oh, dude, like again, little things like that really tell you a lot about who these characters are. And it's so important, especially when you got so little time, where if you can just deliver a one-liner that gives insight into who they are, that's masterful writing, and that's what Favreau's doing here. So instead of that, he goes, look, all right, if you want to accept money, why don't you join me? I could use a crew member like you. Like, you're on the ball, you're smart, you know how to fix the ship, like, come join me. And Kuiil's like, I appreciate it, man. Like, it's an absolute, like, kind of honor that you would even offer that to me. But my land's been in turmoil, man. There's been no peace here for so many years, because of that. And now you've cleared it out, and my land can finally go back to peace. I want to live out peacefully. I don't want to be flying all over the galaxy with a bounty hunter. You basically like, I want to live retirement like nice and kick my feet up, not worry about all these people coming in to try to find this little Baby Yoda thing. So Mando goes, fair enough, and Kuiil says something else that, again, I think this is some foreshadowing, and when you look at what he's saying and what's really going on, I think it gives you an idea of what might be happening here. And what Kuiil says, he goes, good luck with the child. May it survive and bring you a handsome reward, which obviously Mando's going to get when he turns Baby Yoda in. But you can tell right from the get-go, right? Like, he killed IG-11 so as not to kill Baby Yoda. There's a party that's just going, is he gonna actually give it up? Well, if he does give it up, then that reward is going to be legit money. But if he doesn't give up Baby Yoda, if he keeps Baby Yoda and tries to figure out what to do, how to save him, then maybe that, that handsome reward is the pleasure and the good feeling that you would get from saving the child. And maybe the child is something you need. Like, Baby Yoda himself could be that handsome reward. So it's one of those things where I think there's a double meaning going on there, especially after we see episode 3. You get more of a sense that I think Kuiil was trying to tell Mando, do not turn that kid over. Like, I hope it survives and brings you a handsome reward in not monetary value, but in life wealth and the goodness of helping whatever this poor creature is. That's the meaning I took when he said it, especially on the second watch and after we've seen episode 3, which we will talk about. Don't worry, it'll get there too. But let's wrap up the rest of this episode. So, after he says the handsome reward line, he goes, I have spoken, and off he goes. I love that I have spoken line. Definitely get me an I have spoken Ugnaught t-shirt at some point. Mando, once again, he takes off. He goes up into space, and he's trying the whole time. Baby Yoda has been out cold since he used the Force to lift the Mudhorn. So you see a couple times he tries to kind of like wake him up, nothing's going. Mando takes off, and nonetheless, you can see that he's breathing, and then he does. He wakes up right at the end, and you're like, oh, yes, man. Like, right as he takes off, and those big eyes, dude, like, he's just so freaking adorable. And yes, this is a smaller episode than the first one. It's even a little bit smaller than the third one. And I I guess I can understand maybe where you're coming from. You're saying, oh, this felt like a filler episode because not a lot gets accomplished. But, I mean, as you can see, man, it just lends itself to so many things. We get some foreshadowing moments. We get to see the Jawas. We get to see Mando and how he reacts with Baby Yoda and kind of starts to seep in those feelings of, like, he's not going to turn it in. Like, he's not going to turn over that baby. Like, there's a connection between these two. And Mando, being an orphan possibly himself, is probably feeling something, and that connection is super key, man. I think it's gonna be super key to the whole season, but this also gives us a lot of insights into the Mando, right? Like, weapons are my religion, and just the way that he operates, getting to watch him operate in any scenario. It's all major and part of building out this foundation. So I thoroughly enjoyed episode 2 as well, as much as it may have been a quieter episode to a degree, or a smaller episode. I mean, the Mudhorn sequence is great. All the stuff with the Jawas is great. You're getting to see how these directors are using other movies and things that have clearly influenced them and then applying them in here. Like the Indiana Jones little nod, like all that stuff. It's just all good. And it's all helping build out this character and this world, man. Like, you got to remember, yes, we're in the Star Wars universe, but this isn't a Skywalker story. It's not connected to the Skywalker story at all. And unless Baby Yoda's a clone, then maybe it could tie into that story. But we have to establish a different world, a different part of the universe. You know, we're in the outskirts. We're post the Empire, and establishing all that. You're getting all of those vibes and all that stuff in each of these, especially this one as well. So this second episode is not filler by any means, man. We get some real legit stuff that we take away from it, and we get more character building, and I'm all about that. So The Mandalorian Chapter 2, The Child, boom, just keeping on with this rock solid TV show. And albeit, you know, it might have been only listed as like 30 minutes minus credits, like 28 minutes or whatever you want to say it is. And again, we get those wonderful artistic painting credit sequence at the end of the show, just like the first one, which I love. I'm like, every one of those, I just want to like freeze frame it when there's no words on, and like capture it and make it like a backdrop, like a screensaver or something. And they're so beautiful. Disney and Star Wars should totally put them out as wallpapers. But you know, we get to the end of chapter 2, the child, and I think we're just crafting something that's really strong. And while it might be short, you're not filling in anything, man. You're giving us all important details, all things that are necessary to the story, things that we need to know, and we're not filling it out. So the fact that these episodes don't have any fluff or fat on them, I don't think any of these episodes are filler, man. These are all super important, and I thoroughly enjoyed Chapter 2, The Child. The question is, did you, man? What was your thoughts of Chapter 2, The Child? Did you think it was a filler episode, or were you sitting back like the old C-Man going, I like what they're doing here. Ooh, this line is important. Oh, that might be foreshadowing something. Did you find things important in this episode? Did you enjoy this episode? Did you like the action that we got? I heard other people say, oh, man, where's all the action? Give us action. What do you want, man? Dude fights a Mudhorn. He fights some Niktos at the beginning. Like, whatever's working or not working, whatever you're thinking about this show, goes down below. If somehow you've gone to the end of this review, you listened to the whole thing, and you haven't watched the episode, shame on you. Like, don't spoil these things for yourself. Watch these episodes. They're quick and easy to get. And then come back and you know, have some dialogue with the old Seaman. But if somehow you haven't watched it and you watch this whole video, what is it that you're looking forward to for this episode? What were we talking about that maybe got you excited? Or if you haven't been in on The Mandalorian, maybe it's piquing your interest. Anything you're thinking, whether you've seen the episode or not seen the episode, you're thinking about The Mandalorian Chapter 2, The Child, it goes down below in the comments section. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with the Seaman on a weekly basis here, the Seaman, do a little singing when he's doing his thing, because sometimes I do that like I did at the open. And you want to hang out when we're talking the Mandalorian spoiler reviews every week, jump over there, man. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the little bell that follows so you get alerts every time I drop a new Mandalorian video. Anytime I drop any videos, man, we go to all the movies, we watch the trailers. You like the content, you hit that subscribe button, come join the Cinema Sit Down squad, hit that alert bell, you'll get the alerts. I'll keep cranking out content until next time we meet, hopefully right here at the Cinema Sit Down. For the Cinema Sit Down, I'm the C-Man. I'm signing off, man. Peace. Well, Oh, B, you guys are still here? You must be looking for some more content. Well, don't worry, C-Man's got you covered, man. You got videos like this guy, and if you haven't yet, and you want to come check out all the C-Man goodies, join the Cinema Sit-Down Squad, man. Hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the little bell down below that, too, so you can get alerts every time I make new videos.